So the role of funders, and here I mean both donors and investors, is to set the right incentives and to support providers in this quest to define and put in place better policies and practices. Now about 60 investors and fund managers and different investment organizations have signed on to the principles and committed to implement them because we think this helps raise awareness. It definitely gets the attention of the providers when investors start asking about their policies and practices in this area. And it creates a useful dialogue about how can we improve practice. And there are even some investors that are planning to reward better performance by providing more financing or financing on better terms. So it's a question of carrots and sticks, and investors have an important role to play. CGAP is supporting that investor initiative by developing a toolkit that will have different models and options for investors at each stage of the investment process. So we'll have multiple samples available online of how investors are building this into their due diligence, how they're building it into their monitoring processes and reports. For equity investors, what kinds of issues are they raising at the board level as part of their governance role. So there's a toolkit that's being developed to support that work. The work is just beginning to recruit donors to the campaign, and there's been a very active response already. I think 2/3 of CGAP members and a number of other donors have joined the campaign. And the donor role can be quite expansive because they're actually in probably a better position than investors to provide support for capacity building and improvements and the kinds of investment in improved communications and systems and staff training and so on that would actually make it possible for providers to improve their practices. The role of government in client protection is more complex and perhaps more controversial. My own personal view is that we've tended in the microfinance field to be against almost all regulation and government involvement unless it was getting us something we wanted. So we were in favor of rules that made it more possible for us to convert our financial institutions into depositories so that we could have new privileges of raising capital and offering deposit services and so on. We were in favor of tax advantages for nonprofit MFIs, but we were pretty skeptical about any further regulatory restrictions. We understood the case for prudential regulation. We were skeptical about market conduct regulation. I see that view changing a little bit, I think, with the awareness that improved consumer protection rules, if they set the floor for most of the players in the market, can actually be good for business. It's better for the reputation of the sector. It protects clients. It can keep politicians from adopting more drastic steps like interest rate caps or prohibitions on certain kinds of practices. And it creates a healthier market over time. So this concept of healthy access is one that we're hoping might get more discussion within the broad concern about financial inclusion. The subprime crisis shows us that not all access is good access. And while many low-income people benefited from their subprime loans, many were also hurt. And I think we're seeing in developed country markets a kind of a return to back to basics in terms of regulation, an effort to set some basic ground rules. This has risks, but it also has some benefits.